Hello and welcome to the Virus Cubes development vlog. The date is April 12th, 2012. Progress has been a bit slow the past few weeks because of life, but I still made some progress. This video will cover the additions since last video, some information on the power grid and virus, two important parts of gameplay, and finishing up with what I'll be working on the next couple of weeks. To start, I did some optimization of pathfinding. It works in most cases, but more maze-like paths still cause some issues. I have an idea of getting it to check multiple paths to get the most efficient path, so I will have to return to it at some point to get that in. But for now I have some more important priorities, such as adding units and rooms to really get the main part of the game in. I added in some new parts to the UI. There are new elements and background parts. Mousing over an element will bring up some tooltip text. I'm thinking about having all tooltip information on the bottom right instead of just having it appear above or beneath. At the moment there's no tooltip for the virus cube health, so it just says nothing. I'm not satisfied with how the UI looks, so that's something I'm going to have to tweak. It's an okay first draft for someone who's pretty terrible at art, to be honest. I added a small function to remove selection from a unit if I left-click the mouse on a non-unit. Also screen scrolling via mouse. They're minor but necessary changes. There are three more unfinished add-ons. The first is a teleport shader. Shaders are small graphics programs used to draw objects. You can get some pretty neat effects out of them. I've been having some issues with long distance travel, so I'm going to add a text spell that allows a unit to teleport anywhere on the player's power grid. It will cost some energy and take some time depending on how far the unit is trying to teleport. The effect is unfinished, but the base work is in the code, so I have to tweak it and add the ability to use it. The second is going to be a button so the player can control whether the power grid spreads or not. This plays into part of the game mechanics of the power grid, which I will be describing a little bit later in the video. The third is the virus. It's going to be one of the core mechanics of the game. This wasn't something in Dungeon Keeper. I really like that game, and it's heavily influenced this game, but I can't just copy and paste it with cubes because then it's not unique. The virus does what any good virus does. It infects the enemy. But since the enemy is also a virus, you're in danger of being infected too. The virus builds up slowly over time. The stronger it is, the faster you'll infect the enemy. As the infection builds, it starts to have negative effects. Reduced resistance to infection, reduced energy and power, and reduced virus strength. If the infection reaches high enough, the virus cube itself will start taking damage, and if the virus cube dies, you lose the level. Infection starts once the player's power grid touches the enemy's power grid. The power grid itself has a natural resistance to infection, so it starts out pretty slow. The power grid has three stats to it. The first is power. The virus cube supplies a base amount of power, and the player can increase power by building power generators. Quite a bit of power in there, isn't there? The generators will drain some crystal every few minutes. The second is the number of tiles controlled. These tiles will have the player's color and can be built on. The third is the ratio of power to tiles. The ratio determines how fast the grid spreads and adds to the resistance against infection. Being able to control the spread is important. If you want it to be more defensive, you stop spreading and build up the power to get high resistance to infection. It does, however, limit the space to build. So I added a variable to stop it from spreading. It's on right now for the red guy. He's got a higher power ratio, but it doesn't take over the blue player's tiles, like it would if it was on. There's no button for it yet, but it will be there soon. The thing is, while all this sounds great in my head, I have no idea if it works in gameplay. The virus is kind of a slow, painful death if you happen to be on the losing side. If you're on the winning side, it's a slow win, which could be boring. I'm hoping it turns out to be a good mechanic, but I'll only find that out once the game is in a playable state. To get the game closer to a playable state, I need to add in rooms and units. They're really important to the game, so hopefully I'll have a few of them in to start testing the game out soon. I'll also be describing the three types of rooms and units in the next video. So that's it for this video. If you have any comments, please leave them below. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.